Well, as you can probably guess from my oohing and ahhing, that was a thoroughly exhilarating visit to the Anglican Cathedral. Magnificent building. If you're in Liverpool, all I can suggest is that you visit it. And as I say, I never, even with all my little bit of research I generally do in advance, didn't realise it was only started in 1908. You learn something new every day. Ah, Toxteth. I believe that was a riot at one stage. Oh, sorry, bad taste. And what do we have here beside this wonderful building? Yes, we've got Chinatown. It is one of the oldest in the country. And as we go for a small wander down Chinatown, you can just see the bell tower of the cathedral in the background. Have a quick wander down while we're here. It certainly seems to be, as they say in the local lingo, large is great. Well, I didn't expect that, if I'm being honest. Mabo, which translates in, for those of you who speak Irish, as my cow. And Mansuen, Ho's restaurant. And all very, very charming. Oh, look. I'm not even going to touch them because I appreciate they ain't real. Probably been bought from Temu. And as we just have a quick look, I'm not going to go much further because they're just a load of Chinese restaurants. But there is, and I've spied it here just to keep everybody happy, a blue plate. It's Gladys Aylward. She was a missionary to China, it seems. Oh, well, there you go. Just bumped into somebody who was visiting Liverpool for the day. He'd just come from Dublin on the way through to London. And he claimed, yes, he said he was from South Dublin. And not many of you will know what I mean when I say this, but he's from a place called Rathfarnham. So there you go. Oh, just seen, this is Duke Street. I wonder are there any hazards down there? Come on, keep up, hazards, Duke of Hazards. Sorry. Now, if this doesn't sum up modern schooling life, nothing does. Must do things differently, must see things differently. And yes, of course, phone in hand, like all the kids do, although it wouldn't be a biro in the other hand, it would be a vape, wouldn't it? This is very clever. I hope you can see the effect. As you walk past, the perspective changes. How very clever is that? This is called, incidentally, the quirky quarter, which is no wonder with a little artwork like that. Let's just go back and look at that. Isn't that clever? Well, Dukes and Duchesses Children's Day Nursery. I bet they've only got a few people in there. Making our way down now to the city centre. Well, I seem to attract people that are asking me if I know the way around. They're asking me. Anyway, just got asked if I knew where Ringo Starr's house was. Well, I know it's that way. And it's about sort of a mile up that way, but I'm not going. It's just a house. And here's a stretch of houses that are a little the worse for wear. I sincerely hope they're not going to be knocked down because the facades are lovely old Georgian ones. It'd be a shame if they just got rid and turned them into carbuncles. I mean, the other side is quite pleasant. Well, I'm glad my trousers aren't falling down. That's the back end of the shopping area. And here, this is a quite intriguing building. It doesn't actually say what it is, but it's just, well, nice building. Got flags on the top, so it must be something official. And then in the distance, we can see the John Lewis that marks the start of Liverpool 1, the shopping area. And you can just see the Liver building poking its head above the water. Well, at least I hope it's not poking its head above the water, otherwise it means it will have sunk into the Mersey. Oh, I can't go in there because I'm a granddad. This seems to be an epic apart hotel. I don't know what the other part is. Oh, there's another one here. That's also a part hotel. Only profane people need apply. Nice looking building it's in though, mind you. Very ornate. and apparently very rude. Vestiges of an old Chinese restaurant. Presumably everything's all gone up to Chinatown in the meantime. That's something called Hum Yak House from 1864. I presume it's an old warehouse, no doubt. It's to let. Not that makes any difference to me. And as we come down into Liverpool 1, there's John Lewis on the left. A fine store it is too. Church house looks quite interesting. Very good architectural detail throughout. That's quite beautiful. The Chorizo Steakhouse looks quite interesting. Not sure what that thing on the top is. But anyway, if we look down beside John Lewis's, we can just see in the background the Royal Albert Dock down the bottom there. And there it is, our next destination, the Royal Albert Dock. It's a plant-based cafe. I hope it doesn't wilt in this sunshine. And the grassy slopes of the entrance to Liverpool 1 in the background, with suitable fix-it noises. Onwards and forwards to the Albert Dock. And there we are, the entrance to the Albert Dock. We can see just to the left the Liverpool wheel, and just in behind the Liverpool wheel is the M&S Arena plus service charge. And just opposite the Albert Dock is the Liverpool Hilton. I only mention the Hilton because many years ago I accosted Len McCluskey asking him how he felt about taking a £400,000 interest-free loan from Unite to subsidise his flat in London while sorry, I just interrupted then, someone was just shouting me. While he was the leader of the union that represented the lowest paid workers in the country. And in the Royal Albert Dock, we've got HMS Daffodil, if you fancy having lunch on a flower. A museum thing jutting out onto the dock front with the library building in the background. And the Museum of Liverpool, which looks very strangely like the Imperial War Museum in Salford. And just to prove it still is a working dock, although I don't know if the carousel floats. And there we are, there we have a greeting to say it saves me telling you everybody what it's all about. Yes, thank you. And as we pass by my pavilion, we've got there, just straight opposite, we've got the Tate Gallery. And you might remember we visited Chorley, which was the birthplace of Sir Henry Tate. I'll just let the film run as we negotiate these three little steps that are far narrower than my overweight frame. Here we are. And this is the famous Albert Dock. And there we go. You may remember they used to have the weather map in the middle that they used to jump up and down on for the news programme on, I think it was the BBC One, or was it morning time television? I never watched morning time television ever in my life. Loads of little cafes and other assorted eating places where you can enjoy a meal and a drink and whatever else you want to enjoy while you're sitting here. Even at 2:30 on a Wednesday afternoon, it's extremely busy because it's a top tourist attraction. And well, we'll just have a quick wander around, let you have a look. There's a slightly different angle. All the people wandering around, extremely busy. Personally, I wouldn't mind mucking about on one of those boats. Life on the ocean wave and all that sort of stuff. As we walk down, you can see it's really quite busy, as I mentioned. But then it is, when all's said and done, a top tourist attraction. Also, very sad indictment of modern times that you can actually tell the tourists from the locals, because sadly, it's just a statement of our times, I suppose. The locals all have beluga lips and are covered in tattoos, whereas visitors aren't. It's as easy as that. Just spoke to a chap who had a Tate Gallery lanyard over his neck, and I won't be visiting because it seems there aren't any Salvador Dali paintings on exhibition, or at least there is the one that I've already seen some, well, what was it? Crikey, must be 8 to 10 years ago. I stayed in that Holiday Express for a conference in Liverpool a couple of years ago, and very pleasant it was too. You know my obsession with food. It was a delightful breakfast. And here we are on the other side of the dock. It's quite a big place, as I'm sure you can see from my video. There's certainly plenty. The thing that I suppose is a little bit, I will always say it's sad because the units would be empty otherwise, but nearly all of the units are the usual suspects from national, you know, ones that are nationwide. By usual suspects, I should explain, I mean the outlets. You know, all bar one and all the other ones, Alchemy and the rest, they're all here in force. Presumably some tourists going off for a muck around on the river or on within here. Well, having a muck around somewhere anyway. Very pleasant day for it, in fairness. Could convert that into a lovely home. Yes, Liverpool gifts and souvenirs. Skulls and Star Wars characters, all direct from Liverpool. And yes, it wouldn't be Liverpool without some sort of mention of the Beatles, I think. Oh, that's very nice of him. The Tate Gallery man just tapped me on the shoulder to say that not only were there no Salvador Dalis, but the museum is closed for refurbishment. So that was very kind of him. Yes, it had moved up the waterfront to a temporary building just showing some of its exhibits. But still, I think we'll give it a miss on this occasion. Now, I'd be lying if I said I knew what that was all about. And there we go, we've gone full circle. And there's the city of Liverpool itself and the museums I mentioned. And let's wander up now to the famous Pier Head. Just top right, you can see the Three Graces. Just had a request from an old bird, would I mind getting some chips so he could nick them from me? Oh, he's just left a deposit on the table. I bet that's not a financial one. I've just heard somebody say, oh look, there's Elvis. I don't know why they don't just read what it says on the tin. It's Billy Fury. Blooming clots. Oh, on the Mersey front it seems to be padlock heaven here for some reason. And across from where we're standing is Beacon Head, as they pronounce it locally. I'll zoom in for a better look now. And if you just make out there on the left as we pan around here under that flat rock building there's a frigate of some sort from the Royal Navy in dock. We're just arriving at Pier Head. We might see his brother Dick later on, but this is where the ferries come in. Oh, that's interesting. A Lusitania propeller. Lusitania, I'm not too sure what the date was, but that sank off the Cork coast all those years ago. I think it was torpedoed by a German ship, wasn't it? Sorry, German submarine. And a monument to the Liverpool Carters. No doubt John Wayne is busy shouting, "Been kind of lonely in my saddle since my horse died." Goodness me. They must sell as many locks locally as they do tattoos. Cripes. Railing after railing, full of locks commemorating loved ones or something similar. And with the Museum of Liverpool that we've already mentioned, here we go. The Three Graces. Just look at these wonderful, wonderful buildings with the Royal Liver on the far left. Absolutely terrific bits of architecture, aren't they? Well, they're not bits. They're leviathans of architecture. I'll just linger for a moment before we carry on. There you go. I've lingered enough. And there's Captain Walker with his resident seagull. I have no idea why he can't wear a hat like anybody else, but that must be a thing that seafarers do. A nice little memorial to the Chinese seamen who served the country in 2 world wars, and some of the repatriation vessels, and another memorial to the Merchant Navy. And this is where you come if you want to take a ferry across the Mersey. And there's John, Paul, George, Ringo and tourists. And there's an imposing statue of Edward VII outside the Liver building. And there's Grace number 2 and Grace number 3. Must have been really very imposing to immigrants who arrived on the docks. Ah, and that explains why I've been hearing so many people saying they're only here for the day. While that's the Liver building, the middle one is called the Cunard building. And this magnificent specimen is called the Other building. Absolutely wonderful. It's just so hard to give an impression as to how majestic these buildings are, really. Just such fabulous architecture from old. Right, let's head up to the city centre. Well, he's certainly a chip off the old block. You can just see nestling behind the trees is the Liverpool Parish Church. And some more wonderfully constructed buildings here on the edge of Pierhead. Not too sure if I hang on for Roxy music to make it official, but no, I'll go and have a coffee instead, I think. Here we go up towards the city centre. Well, first we had the Strand and now we've got Drury Lane. Have I just ended up in London and not realised? Hooray! Found a shop title that just simply can't use words. Grand building as well. Size of it. It seems to be the home for Legal and General. Although I do see HM Government in there as well. And just come across the famous slaughterhouse with the combined laughter house in the basement. More final listed buildings here in Liverpool. We're surrounded by these buildings on all sides. And there's the Ivy, the home to beluga lips and tattoos, and even more listed buildings. Well, in fairness, the city's full of them. We seem to have come across the Epicurean, well, one of the Epicurean centres of Liverpool. And straight ahead of us is the Liverpool Town Hall in all its magnificence. And then some of the other rather majestic buildings leading up to it. Well, Sweeting Street looks very interesting, if you're interested in that sort of type of thing. And I've just noticed here, to say it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon, Liverpool's hopping. There really are so many wonderful buildings in Liverpool. We've got here Century, or spelled Century, buildings. And then the Days Night Hotel. I wonder where they got that name from. And then another lovely building over there, which we'll halt for a minute because I'm going to walk past it. Meanwhile, another street fit for a princess. But these imposing buildings on all sides, absolutely wonderful. Even Dorothy's show bar, I wonder what Dorothy's showing, is in a pretty nice building, to say the least. And then there's this, which contains something called the Fruit Exchange. Now, Buzz. The Fruit Exchange, I suppose that's where if you buy a banana, you don't like it, you take it back and trade it in for an orange. And then a building called I suppose that's where they store their Fiats. And on this side here, we've got Union House. Meanwhile, this heralds something called the Met Quarter. And then we come across another Irish pub. Great influence in Liverpool. Macauley's, with all its encouraging noise and loads of people sitting outside, as we can see. And then with the likes of the Beatles shop and Hey Jude, Hair and Beauty, O'Brien's, we have to have an O'Brien's. This heralds the fact that we have arrived at, yes, it's Matthew Street, and we all know what's in Matthew Street, don't we? Quite a busy little enclave. And as you can see, the Beatles Museum. And plenty of noise and goodness. Oh, good grief. It's a unique and authentic one, no less. Yes, I don't think I need tell you where we're near. There's Killer with her arms wide open. We've got Sergeant Pepper's, and we've got the Cavern Restaurant. And yes, let's turn round. Please brace yourselves. Here we go. Here we go. The Cavern Club. But don't get too excited. It's not the original one because that has since gone. There's even a blues trail that tries to associate itself with the Beatles. And there's a Wall of Fame club with loads of acts, all written into the bricks. We'll just go a little bit closer and have a look. The building's absolutely covered with them. So many acts. Brick after brick. I don't know if there's another brick in the hall. Pronounced brick, but spelled P-R-I-C-K, being Roger Broken Waters. Anyway, enough of that. Let's move on.
I can do that. Yeah. Let's get some chicken.
The poor royal family. They're reduced to appearing on biscuit tins. Oh, and is there some message there? Mini bins with Liverpool on. I hope the old Bank of England building here, very nice it is too. I hope they've not captured the pigeons and spray painted them. Midland Goods, I presume that's an old warehouse. Oh no, it's the railway offices. Well, same difference. And the Dixie Dean Hotel, with a fine old building. Even with my limited knowledge of football, I know that he was a famous footballer. At least I think he was, unless he was a jockey. No, he was a footballer, wasn't he? And then the way out of the city to the Birkenhead Tunnel that goes under the Mersey. And as we walk back to the station, there's the Liverpool Museum. And I think that's Victoria Park ahead. And having completed some 14,000 steps around Liverpool, that's it. Sorry I couldn't show you any more, but the feet are beginning to give out. So hope you enjoyed it. And thank you very much for joining me. See you next time. Bye.